We just going, huh? All right. Week 2 is in the books. Some teams are flip-flopped what they did. Some teams are establishing themselves as consistent. Obviously, we now know everything that is going to happen the rest of the year. So let's get telling you about it. I hope I win, but it's going to take his team having some problems like last week. And it's going to take my team really putting some things together, including some guys who haven't done
it. I mean, I'm on vacation already, man. The season's over. I've given up, right? What?
Welcome to the Chuck and Dave pod and a semi-new intro. And I'm Dave.
Welcome to the pod. I love that you picked the ultimate give up.
The vacation one.
Vacation.
Well, I figured it'd go with my theme of the last one was me giving up on Taysom Hill, and this one was giving me giving up on the entire season. So
every season. Like how's Dave giving up this year?
It's just this like extreme progression of giving up.
You can't get much further than that.
And that's like I always look for like interesting clips, and yours is like you talking about. I don't even know where that clip was from. I just remember.
I remember talking about that though. I do.
Like you're talking about like I think you were facing my dad, and I think it was like it might have been a playoff one, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think it was your dad. Honestly, I don't think I played. Did I play him in the playoffs?
I don't know. No, because he came in second. Did he play Jordan?
I think I did play to him. I lost him. I didn't play Jordan. I know I didn't play Jordan. So I must have played him and lost. And Alex lost to Jordan.
Yeah, they but yeah, and then I tried to I was like I came across that clip. I'm like, I really kind of forgot about it because I was gonna put in me, Joe, and it's the Chuck and Dave pod because I'm just like it's the Chuck and Dave pod. Like
like dude, like just put the intro in the intro, then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. Anymore. But then I was like, oh yeah, the give up thing that goes with me giving up on Taysom Hill and giving up on.
I like the low key costume and everything there.
Oh yeah,
I had a thought. I think this year we need a Pokemon themed week.
I like that idea. I agree.
I think everybody could come up with a name.
Even
characters to choose from.
Oh yeah, the only one that might be left out in this is my dad because I'm pretty sure he would still say Pokemans.
That's fine. He could be the new London Grand Bulls.
That's good. That's good.
We'll help him. Yeah. We help Sam. We can help him.
Yeah.
Come up with it. I mean, everybody's gonna have something there. We got to set these weeks though. We got to set Throwback Week. We got to set that.
We do.
Team Rocket.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, George.
Straight to the point. Team Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad name for a team in general, honestly.
It's true.
I like it. Make it double.
All right,
well, I wanted to start with a couple of record type things here that I finally, first of all, put finished getting the most and least points for kickers and defense in all of the years on Yahoo. So I have the all-time data. Now I shared the kicker data on the Discord page. I know people love whenever they're like, oh, Discord, and they're like, oh, it's in the stats.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't need to check that. But it's fun. Check the stats section. Always fun things. Anyway, so the highest kicker one actually is set by Alex this year with 32.89. So he did officially set the record for that. Of course, back when we were under your guardianship, the kickers could not score that many points.
No.
Without an absolute bonkers day.
Mm-hmm.
You have the record for the least with -4, which is hard to get with a kicker.
I mean, that must have been some missed extra points and like no fields.
Some missed everything, I think. Maybe they tried to fake one and threw an interception. I don't know. But okay, the defense ones, these flabbergasted me. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So the most points in a defense was set in 2019 by Sam.
Interesting.
They scored 45 points.
45 points.
45 points his defense scored. It was, I wrote this down. Let me write it out here. It was the Philadelphia defense. And they had 10 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 1 fumble recovery, and allowed just 1 to 6 points.
Wow.
So it was quite a day for him. He won, obviously, that week with that. Just as astonishing, though, was the bad side. Sam also holds the record for the least amount of points scored on a defense, although this is tied with Todd, and this record was set in 2019 and 2018. What do you think the lowest score for defense is?
-6.
So close. -7.
Oh, okay.
-7. It was
It would get as high as -10.
I think somebody could get to -10 someday.
I think you could. It'd have to be a lot.
Well, here's what they had to do. So Sam did it with the Jacksonville defense. No, your dad did it with the Jacksonville defense. They allowed 35 plus points and gave up over 500 yards.
Wow.
In that one. And then Sam had it with the Minnesota defense, and he got basically the same stats essentially. He still scored 159 points that week, even with a -7 from the defense. Kind of reminding us of what Sam used to be like, the powerhouse that he used to be. And I think that might be coming back.
Yeah,
I have a theory that the fantasy algorithm finally remembered that it had been swapping his and your dad's teams.
Yeah. And now my dad's on the bottom.
And now it's time to
near the bottom.
Atone for it. Well, I mean, he's at the bottom. He just happened to catch me at a good week.
Yeah.
He's the worst in points.
Got you in the week 1.
You got me. That's embarrassing. Honestly, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's some record things that I wanted to talk about.
Well, that's interesting.
Another one I'll drop later when we get to that recap. But
quite the week.
Yeah, a lot of injuries.
Unfortunately,
we got Pacheco, we got Cup. Someone else is possibly down. Who was it? Deebo Samuel. A lot of big names, a lot of big name injuries for people to deal with.
A lot affecting my dad, unfortunately.
A lot going for your dad, and he didn't have much going for him to begin with.
Technically, Justin Jefferson had a quad injury.
Is he looking good?
I think he's still day to day. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a lot, and we're only in week 2, but we're starting to get to that point where a lot of questionables.
Yeah.
Is he saying day to day? Well, he's got the Q. It's so hard to tell what questionable means, especially this early in the week.
Yeah.
He did practice in a limited capacity this week, so.
Yeah.
So we will see. But yeah, it just goes to show, stock your bench with backups.
Yep.
Figure who you think is going to get hurt and take their backup.
That's pretty much when we get to my dad, when we can talk about next week, that's exactly what my dad just did.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a term I'd never heard of yet until this year, and I've seen it multiple places now. Apparently, that's called the handcuff in fantasy.
What's
apparently like the guy's backup because they're like, oh, you grab these other ones that are like their handcuff. I think it means that they're kind of like linked to the person. I might be wrong, but I think it means they're like linked to the main guy, and then when he goes down, they get brought up. I'm not entirely sure. The word handcuff makes me feel like that person is dragging the other one down.
Yeah, I would think too.
But I guess like in your case, your Mason is the handcuff to McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see my stats I threw out about you?
I did. You have
the Teflon year. Nothing can bring you down so far.
So far, so good.
QB1 gone. RB1 and first overall pick of the whole draft gone. It doesn't matter. Averaging 133.
Yeah.
Whatever. You had some other guy. Oh yeah, your tight end sucks. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's just one of those years for you. Imagine if you had everybody, you'd be scoring 150 every week.
And technically, my special teams scored me 6 points this week total overall. I
You're fine.
I got 15. I got 15 points for my quarterback and 6 points for my. So I barely broke 20 with my defense, my kicker, and my quarterback. Actually, I barely broke 22 if you throw in the tight end. And so
it's your core wide receivers and
it's getting me there.
Whatever
well,
it
do you
takes.
want to? Did we want to start with that while we're just talking
We can
about
start with your game,
it?
sure.
All right.
We got
Quarter pounders with cheese and the Fighting
here?
Fergals.
134 to 109. I gotta say, I thought this one was gonna be closer.
This is the what I have predicted as the Super Bowl matchup, according to our post draft pickings.
I gotcha. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Kara, I mean, you could speak more for that, but I think she's got to be mostly happy with her team so far this year.
Yeah, I think that she's fine.
1-1. I mean, you don't like to lose, but she's still got some guys getting some big numbers there. She's broken 100, which I don't think happened 2 games in a row at all last year for her. So, but you put up pretty good points here. What do you get? Drake London actually showed up for you. Yeah, I think your Barkley Mason thing is great. Alvin Kamara, no, that's where your magic's at.
That's an outlier, definitely.
Is it? He got. I mean, you're not going to get 40, but he got 20 the week before. Still,
yeah.
He's a dog apparently. What did you pick him in? Like what round? It had to be like fairly late. I think he wasn't projected that high.
No, hang on. Let me look.
It helps that apparently Derek Carr remembered how to be a quarterback too.
That is true. He has finally figured out
how to be a saint.
I picked him up in. Where did I pick him up? He was not in my. So I got Saquon. I think maybe he was my second, 7th rounder. Yeah, he was my second, 7th round pick.
He was the trade you got from your dad.
Yes, so he was the 7th pick of the 7th round.
Look at that. If your dad wouldn't have traded last year, he could have had Kamara.
It's true.
Just more things. Who he would have traded for Walker or for Najee Harris then, because that's who he really wanted.
Yeah.
All along. But yeah, you had a good showing. I mean, again, Kara had some weak points. Her wide receivers did not work out, and I do have questions now about Tyreek Hill with Skylar Thompson.
How long is Tua supposed to be out?
He's on IR, so at least 4 weeks. But
I assume they're going to go with somebody else. They'll find somebody out there.
They'll bring someone in, but I think this week it's going to be their backup. They did sign someone else. Who was it? Tyler Huntley. They signed.
Oh, really?
The Ravens practice squad.
Oh, man, I can't believe Tyler Huntley was like going to be a starter at one point. And
he looked really good at one point.
Well, at least you know that A-Chain is probably going to
eat. But will that affect him knowing that he's going to have to be the focal point of the offense?
Maybe.
Depends on who they're playing.
If
they're playing the Colts, it won't matter.
Thing is she's been sitting Devontae Adams that she can easily plug him in if she thinks that.
Yeah, and she's dealing with AJ Brown being out right now. She definitely left some points on the board there with Adams.
Mm-hmm.
But look at you, man. I mean, your running backs. You had Barkley and Mason and Kamara, and then on your bench you still have Etienne and Connor putting up 30 points together.
And I got McCaffrey. Eventually, hopefully, will be out there.
He's not coming back.
He's never coming back.
Joe Flacco is on the Colts, isn't he? I think he's the Colts backup this year.
Yeah.
He's not on a practice squad, so he's not available. It's a good thing we promoted Sean Clifford. Otherwise, I'm sure he'd be in Miami right now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Where's Colin Kaepernick when you need him?
Yeah, I know.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, that's what I heard.
Bring him back.
No, I heard he's in a deal with possibly becoming an owner of the Raiders.
There's a lot of issues with that apparently, because the owners passed the resolution or something that if someone is an owner and an announcer, they will be heavily restricted in what they can do, because announcers get to like go behind the scenes and interview players and ask questions and find out about things.
Sure.
And he would not be allowed to do that because technically he'd be inside information for the Raiders then. So they're basically trying to make it so that he can't successfully be both, I think.
So
but
maybe
he's Tom Brady, so he'll probably do it anyway.
He'll figure it out.
figure it out. So big win for you. You're sitting at you've topped 130 2 weeks in a row right now, which I believe is the best you've ever done. Here's your average scores every year. Okay, in general, it's not been great. You don't start strong. Your worst one was actually 2 years ago when after 2 weeks you were averaging 99.1. Your best one prior to this year was in 2020 when you averaged 116, and right now you're averaging 136.2. So you have blown out to the way your best average after two games so far. 110 total running back points you had.
That's got to be today. This week, you said.
Yep. If you count your bench, you had 110 total points of
That's
running
got to
back.
be record.
I mean, that would take an insane amount of research to check, but we will call it a record.
That's pretty crazy.
That's intense. You had it all last week. You couldn't have gone wrong.
I did read an article, or maybe somebody that. Did you put it on there? Did you put it on? One of the talks of like, are we in a, or maybe I read it somewhere where like we're starting to see this like push back towards like running back heavy league. Like,
yes, I have seen many articles this year about how passing yards are down.
Passing yards are down, and it's like not just in not fantasy wise, but like how the league itself is returning to like a run heavy, like ground and pound.
It's the pendulum.
Yep.
You throw too much. Now we gotta. We'll get him with the rock. Okay. Well, now everybody's running. We gotta throw the ball.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth a little bit. But yeah, I think things kind of peaked around the late like 2019, 2020, and ever since then it's been kind of going down. But it's gone down quite a bit. I may have shared an article. I don't remember, but I've certainly read some articles about that.
Read an article today about it, and it was kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, I didn't really ever think about that, but yeah, like the league has been like really pushing run first.
I mean, there's a lot of good running backs in the league right now, but I think the thing that usually makes it harder is that to have good running, you got to have a good O-line, and that's hard.
Yeah,
that is hard. All right, so who's next?
Well, let's do. I'm just gonna go down the line here. Let's do the bounce back game of the week, the comeback player of the week, the Bezoiks versus the Blue Wolves.
What a turnaround!
Yeah,
my gosh, I did try to look into this because I was like, he improved 85.16 points. That's insane. I was like, has anybody ever done that? And I did go back the last 2 years and I checked them, and here's the closest I could find. Technically last year, between week 14 and the final game, which for you was week 17, so there was 2 weeks off in between, but for you it was 2 games back to back, you improved by 77.9.
That's right. Yeah.
So there's that. I know you didn't like it, but there's that. The only other thing I could find that was comparable was that in 2022, from week 4 to 5, I improved by 82.5, and that's because I scored in week 5 the 195.
Yeah.
So as far as someone coming from like 60 up that high, I didn't see any evidence in the last 2 years. So congrats to Josh for proving us wrong for 1 week. Well,
he definitely got a lot of points with very few recognizables. Neighbors, Bowers,
Robinson.
Obviously,
Bowers gave him some big points. Dobbins was an amazing pickup for him.
Dobbins was good. We'll see if his hamstrings can hold up.
He won't play Carolina every week.
You won't play Carolina every week, and
but it so seems, starting the year 28 and 25, that's strong numbers there. But he does have a hard schedule coming up. Alex likes to talk about the matchup. They got Pittsburgh and Kansas City and then a bye.
Yeah.
So he could have 3 weeks of a little bit lower. It'll be the real test here.
Brock Bowers.
I don't know that Brock Bowers is going to be the top tight end, but he's doing well so far. Apparently, Minshew likes him.
Minshew likes him. I don't know if Malik Neighbors is going to get you 25 points or 22 points.
The problem with Neighbors is that he has Danny Jones throwing to him.
Yeah, he's in a very bad. Like we've kind of preached that like bad players on bad or good players on bad teams still make bad fantasy players.
Yeah, or at least inconsistent.
Inconsistently, yeah.
Washington apparently is giving up the most wide receiver points right now.
Yeah.
So he's got Cleveland and Dallas in the next 2 weeks, and then Seattle. That seems like a bit. That'll tell you if he's going to be scoring big or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Bowers thing, he may have struck on the guy with the tight end. I don't know. He's got St. Brown, of course. That's a recognizable name. He finally scored his points. Hurts did just fine. I mean, nobody really failed for him except the Jacksonville defense. But honestly, I think last week I even said was suspect. Maybe I didn't, but I think I was thinking it at least.
I'm actually kind of surprised at the Jacksonville defense. It's seems like an odd choice. They are not a very good team. I would not have.
I don't know if he was just thinking that Cleveland's offense would be so bad that he'd get the points, or
maybe.
Now, obviously, Harrison came up big on the bench that he could have had some massive big points if he had him in if he had replaced, I guess, St.
And
Brown.
There's not really anybody.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he really didn't have and same thing with DK Metcalf. It's like, okay, do you put DK Metcalf?
I should have added up his wide receiver points has got to be huge. He's got 50 there on the bench in wide receiver points.
50 on the bench. I mean,
I feel like
technically he could have put Dobbins in for Taylor. Now, this is like if you wanted to maximize points, you put Dobbins in for Taylor and then throw one of those guys out on there, and it gets you an extra like 12 points.
You got about 100 points in wide receivers, almost 100 points. So, but not much else there on the bench. Just Kenneth Walker. I don't think he didn't play, right? T. Higgins is out, so he's got some injury things there. But I don't think he's going to be. This might be the high point of his year, getting the almost 150, which isn't saying anything bad. Last year, the highest score the whole league got was only 152. I don't think it's going to be sustainable. Of course, he continues to not show his face on the pod.
That's true.
Little bit of shit. I thought maybe this week he'd want to come in and kind of rub it in that he.
Yeah, you think so? I'd assume
represent himself, but now on the other side. Oh, also he went from being on the losing side of the biggest blowout to the winning side of the biggest blowout, and then you've got the Blue Golds who are just looking atrocious.
Yeah, I talked to my dad this week, and he is in full agreement of the state of his team.
I mean, and some of it. We didn't love the team to begin with, right?
No.
And now the players that were any good are
all injured.
I mean, he's losing Cup, he's losing Pacheco. It's like, Chase has not really been living up to it so far this year.
I mean, I think Chris Godwin has become a favorite target for
Mayfield.
So I
think he's going to have to put him in.
He's got 18 points and 21 points. I mean, I
look at Godwin, and I don't understand this, but apparently Denver, who they have this week, is giving up the least amount of points to wide receivers.
Wow.
It's like, but Denver's getting scored on, so who's getting the point?
Running backs only.
Running backs and tight ends. I don't know.
I mean,
it was Seattle played them last week, and Metcalf seemed to do just fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's going to have to fling some guys in there. He did pick up, I don't know how to say it, Charbonnet?
Yeah.
Charmander? He picked him up and let him sit on his bench to score 16 points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but Pacheco got 15. He's in love with Najee, so, I mean, you're expecting that.
Yeah. But I mean, he obviously liked what he saw.
Yeah, so I think he's probably going to swap.
I mean, because
Walker's
going to be back sooner than later. So if you're going to pick up his backup while he's gone, just to sit him, that's a questionable.
He was still out. Kenneth Walker was still out. He missed practice today. I can't imagine him playing next week. I would put in Charbonnet immediately. Take out Pacheco, obviously.
I think
Man, it's hard to say bench Jamar Chase, but until Joe Burrow gets back into midseason form, it's like it's almost even a.
Well, they are playing against Washington this week.
Yeah, and I mean, you could take out Cup, put in Chase, put in Godwin.
He's got some work to do. We'll look at that when we get to the next thing.
I mean, I'd throw in Caleb Williams. I'd throw in because I think he's gonna really heat it up.
Williams, oh yeah,
He's gonna
this
really.
This is weak.
Yeah,
I like that. I read a couple of articles pointing out that Williams' stats through 2 games, now admittedly small sample size, are currently worse than Bryce Young's stats last year.
really.
Yes. So.
Well, I saw the classic meme that's going around where he apparently had texted the punter when he got drafted and said,
Oh
take
yeah,
it
you're not going to
easy.
be needed or something.
And they've punted 12 times and had 0 offensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
Or no, 1 offensive touchdown.
But it wasn't a pass. He doesn't have a passing touchdown yet.
No. One rushing touchdown and 12 punts.
Yep. 12 punts. So a couple other points here about this team. Obviously, the Blue Golds are the only team yet to break 100 points. You can probably sympathize with that a little bit. But then I was looking back and I was like, we are the worst. Oh, Bears fan.
The only Bears fan
in the league. So I was like, honestly, Todd has done better. But he used to do worse too.
Mm-hmm.
But I had not realized just how many years he has been fierce out of the gates of things. And he has been starting hot. So the last 4 years, these are his average points through the first 2 weeks, all right? 131, 148, 142, and 148.
Wow.
So twice he was averaging 148 after 2 weeks.
So he comes out hot and then...
I mean, last year he did finish second. He stayed pretty good. And I think 2 years ago, I think I went into the playoffs saying I was most worried about Todd. But right now he's averaging 90 after these 2 weeks, which is far and away his lowest. Previously, his lowest had been in 2019, the year that he only won twice in the entire season. And he was averaging 101 that year after 2 weeks. So could be rough. I was thinking it'd be great to have him on, talk about his thoughts.
Be interesting.
See what he's doing with his waiver moves too, because and we're going to talk about this when we're done with the recap. The waiver moves have been interesting to me this year.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
It's been a lot, but honestly, there's been not much for people who I think should be doing it. But
I like my team, man. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Well, no, I'm not saying you're one of them. When you're getting all the points, you don't need to.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it was a rough out for him. Let's move on to kind of what we were expecting with Jordan and Sam surprising everybody with a big comeback.
It's unfortunate that Jordan has to know that he's the only one doing worse than Todd.
Yeah, that was a rough.
The record.
This is a very.
This is what we were kind of thinking his whole year would look like, and then he killed us in week 1.
But to be fair, he had a lot of guys on his bench that probably could have helped winning it. He's not winning with them, but
we talked last week about Montgomery being on the bench, and we didn't think that Montgomery should be on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And he was his highest scoring running back, wasn't he? I guess Stevenson did a little better. I think the biggest problem with his team is that it's kind of, I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of Karras, and that like any of these combinations of players could get him a lot of points, but who's it going to be on any given week is going to be very, very hard. Mm-hmm. And some weeks it's just not going to be there. But then like last week it clicked and he got it.
Mm-hmm. He still lost.
Yeah, 77.8 was not a great score. Who was his defense really did some heavy lifting there with Houston.
Yeah.
You know, pick whoever's defense is against Chicago. That's not a bad plan. Now, maybe when Chubb gets back, he gets a kick there. In the meantime, Jordan apparently is attempting to trade with everybody.
So he did say this is going to be a weekly thing. He just wants to see if anybody has interest in trading. So he wants to keep the.
But is he putting thought into the trades he's proposing?
See,
or is he just
yeah, because like he tried to trade not Najee. He tried to. No, my trade was Ramondre Stevenson for Christian McCaffrey. A little lopsided.
Yeah.
If I knew the future of McCaffrey, possibly I might.
Well, obviously he tried trading Njoku and Adunze to multiple people because he proposed that one to me, but also to Alex. Yeah. I don't know what value he thinks he has with Adunze.
Maybe he'll get better if the quarterback gets better.
As I said, the thing is who does he have that he can trade? Because the people that are tradable are the ones he can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
The value that he has excess in could potentially be in running backs. If he wanted to ditch White, potentially, I don't know if I trust him that much, or Stevenson, maybe Moss gets going. Mm-hmm. Montgomery could potentially be trade bait there. I would consider maybe trading for Montgomery. I'm low on my running backs, but
definitely needs wide receiver help though.
The problem with Montgomery is he's going to be a little bit he's going to be touchdown dependent, I think, because Gibbs is going to be their main guy, and he's done it this 2 weeks in a row. But yeah, it's just like, who's he going to be able to trade that's not going to like just hurt him more? Is his tough thing there. What a low life. Who's a low life, Adunze or us?
I think he's talking about maybe Jordan, but I'm not 100% sure.
Could be. I mean, I look forward to it. I thought, honestly, it was fun to like pull up my thing and be like, hey, someone proposed to trade to you. Like, that makes it fun. I am not anti-trade as much as people might think so.
Chuck hates trades, hashtag.
I was anti that trade that he proposed to me. But I'm not anti-trade in general. I approve of any sort of lowish players that the trade makes no difference to either team. I like those trades. Trades for draft picks, awful. I think they should be banned. I think we'll be seeing that from Jordan soon, asking for putting his team up for sale week 3. That's where the value lies then. Like, that's the only time it would make sense to like give up Jackson or something, would be to like just look towards next year. But yeah, Jordan's the low life. You know what? He has no choice. And it's hard to say. I don't know. I felt like he went into panic mode this week. He would have won last week if he had played like 3 other people.
Pretty much anybody. Almost anybody probably would have won, but
yeah, so it was unfortunate, whatever. And then the next week, obviously 70s suck, but we all get them every once in a while. So I don't know that he should be like panicking yet, but it's going to be hard for him to maintain that kind of scoring for sure.
Yeah.
Now on the other side, I told Sam today he needs to change his name away from the Stoppable Nincompoops, because they have averaged very, very consistent. I think he got 136 last week and 137 this week. And this is without Allen doing much.
Yeah.
But man, he got it with James Cook. Took over that game.
Cook and Breece Hall.
Breece Hall, his running backs. Another team where the running backs are just doing it. Because he's got Ridley on the bench, which I think he's gonna have to put in for Samuel now. But yeah, even with Allen having an off week there, Olave, I don't know. The Saints are doing well, but Olave doesn't seem to be a big part of it.
Yeah, I never, man, I'm so glad I never got tricked into picking him up again. Because man, I do not understand. Like he has, I think he's like their starting wide receiver, and it's just like,
I think he's the Evan Engram of wide receivers.
Yeah, it must be. Evan Engram.
That's the bar by which we measure people.
And again, like Mark Andrews scoring like under, like, I mean, tight ends this year have not particularly been doing very well.
No,
but like
they have not.
Mark Andrews is again the Evan Engrams of
tight ends.
He's of tight ends along with Evan Engram.
Along with him and every tight end right now, basically.
Yeah.
Who was it? There used to be, who was the quarterback? on the Bengals before Burrow.
Andy Dalton.
No, before Dalton even. There was another guy who was there from Carson Palmer. Was that it, or was it
Carson
Dalton?
Palmer. Yeah,
There's
it's Carson
somebody
Palmer.
who I've read articles about, and like it's either Dalton or Palmer. I don't remember, but they're like he is just the absolute average of all quarterbacks. Like if your quarterback is worse than him, you need to get a new one, and if they're better than him, you're doing fine.
Probably Carson Palmer.
But it was they called it like some sort of like zone where it was like he's just the absolute average. Kind of guy. Well, we'll see what Dalton if he can get the Panthers.
Palmer. Jordan said Palmer.
Was it Palmer?
Palmer.
I think it was because I feel like it was far longer ago than Dalton.
Than Dalton.
Dalton's the Red Rifle. They need more nicknames. We need more nicknames. Danny Dimes. Like, why did we waste such a great one on him?
Danny Dimes.
How did he even get that nickname? Like, did he have one good game?
Who was that? Was that Danny
Daniel
DeVito?
Jones.
Daniel Jones. Oh, there's Danny Dimes. He does not throw dimes.
No,
he's worth about a dime.
He's worth about a dime. Yep. Anyway, so yeah, Sam's team, other than the Samuel injury, seems to certainly be picking back up. Let's see if I don't have a whole lot to say about that team, other than are the Ninnies getting back to superpower form?
It's making me sweat over here a little bit.
Well, you guys will play soon enough.
All right. Well, let's look at the last game. Lamb of God brought back down to mortal life against the Stud Puffins, back to Stud Puffiny ways.
I thought this was going to be a real close game too. I was a little shocked by how they went. Obviously, the quarterbacks traded roles. Richardson looked all out of sorts, and Murray just went off, which I appreciate and hope he does frequently. But Mike Evans really underperformed for him. Joe Mixon didn't give him much. We talked about the Chicago defense being questionable. He even commented saying he might trade, and then he kept him. Now 7's not terrible for a defense. No. Better than I probably think they were going to go. Now he left some points on the field for sure. Collins, Flowers. He didn't leave any points with Fields.
No.
I guess that would have done better. He would have gotten more points with him, but not enough to do it. But there's just nobody really stood out huge. I guess CeeDee Lamb was his best scorer, which he probably should be on a regular basis. But his kicker and defense lost a combined 40 points from the previous week.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's going to make it hard to keep going there. So I don't know. It's hard to wrap my head around his team right now. I can't decide if this 95 is closer to what he's going to be. I know 178 is not what it's going to be, but I don't know that it's going to be hovering around 100 all year either. He's going to break 100 more often than not. It was a bad week for him, but the Puffins, they just did some good things. Obviously, Laporta continues to maybe not even play for the Lions right now. We're looking into that to see if he's actually been around. Pittman, I think I might be done with Pittman. He's just not Richardson's guy, obviously.
Yeah, you got to put Christian Kirk
the whole Packer game, I was just like, when they were driving at the end, I was like, come on, you can throw a touchdown pass if it's Pittman. That's fine. Just him. We'll be okay.
Michael Pittman.
I was like, I don't want the Colts to win, but you could pass it to this guy a couple times at least.
Yeah.
The problem is that Richardson can't throw short passes, apparently. So
yeah, exactly.
That becomes a problem. Oh, he did lose Mixon in the middle of the game. That probably took 10 points off his score. Still 105 isn't great.
Yeah.
But Butker did much better defense. I think my defense did well. Nobody really was blowing things out of the water. 123 is a perfectly
and you didn't
high score. It's not.
You didn't really leave much on the bench.
Second week in a row, I used my bench up completely. There's just nothing there.
I'm actually
glad I didn't put Likely in.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised you didn't put Likely in because that was the pickup.
Well, again, I picked him up as trade bait.
I know my dad is looking at him, so might be something to talk about.
We'll see.
Next week he was the one that he wanted likely.
When you have 3 players, when you have a player who has 2 games very opposite of each other, week 3 will tell you what is going to be more expected. Usually, should I give Pittman 1 more week? He does not deserve 1 more week.
I don't think
especially against Chicago.
I mean, well, yeah, because Chicago's defense surprisingly is gonna they may not win that game, but Indianapolis is only gonna score 17 points.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't trust him. I got to figure things out on my team a little bit, but it was good to get the 1-1. You hate to drop to 0-2. That's what you want to avoid. I continue to be undefeated against Alex in the regular season.
Nice.
That's what the Bears have been saying about their QB since 1940. Yep. Shazam.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's all I had pretty much on that one.
Yeah. That's I mean, honestly, pretty good games. Nothing where I think the only one was maybe my dad versus Josh, where you were like, yeah, it's kind of over. Honestly, I was going, even though I was technically supposed to win, it was still one where I think I was 102 to 109. I mean, there's a possibility that I don't win this game against Kara.
You sure pulled ahead.
And really, if it wasn't for Alvin Kamara, it would have been a beatdown.
A beatdown? You would have still probably won if he didn't score 40. You could have lost 25 points and still won. But yeah, Kamara's probably what generally did it at the end.
That's definitely what helped.
Oh,
you're back into platinum.
I forgot my stats. Did I? Because I was trying to find when they were going to up. I kept checking.
You are back into platinum, my friend.
By 3 points in the good. Woo! They took several days to update that. They didn't have that updated on Tuesday morning. Let's take a look at what the AI is guessing for our current projections. What they've changed. We got 4, 4, and 10 teams. It has Lamb of God, Bezoic Phlegmoids, White Lightning, and the Blue Golds all going 4 and 10 for a massive 4-way tie for that last playoff spot. That would be spicy.
That's pretty crazy. Seems a little high, but
I don't think that's going to happen. And then you got 3, 11, and 3 teams, and it's apparently decided that the Puffins will be at least average.
So it's just this massive wealth disparity. There's giant wealth disparity.
There's one middle class resident in this league.
One middle class, a bunch of poor, and a few elites.
That's what we want. We're making fantasy great again, right?
That's it.
It has. I don't know. If you, Sam, and Kara all tied 11 wins, that would be a ridiculous. If it ended this way, that would be the most ridiculous season ever.
That would be.
I think the thing that's the most enjoyable here is that it continues to give Alex the most points against. I think most of the reason it thinks he's not going to do well is because it thinks he's going to be facing really, really tough opponents every week.
Yeah.
Because it has him getting the highest points against.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Although if you look, okay, so now again, we're going to look and see Jordan has by far, if you look at points against, holy moly, he has more points against by 60 points.
Yeah, well, he played 2 people that got in the 130s.
Yeah. Well, and one in the 175s.
Yeah, I mean, I'm winning. I've had the easiest competition so far because neither of my opponents have topped 100.
Yeah.
Which I will gladly take that honor from Josh.
Mm.
We know he likes it, but he's been spreading the wealth a little bit. But the Fergals also are not even averaging over 100 points yet because they played Josh with his awful first week.
I'm actually really surprised I'm the only undefeated team. I'm sitting alone atop my undefeatedness.
I mean, there weren't a lot of options. Basically, Alex had to win. Todd had to win. And then whoever won your game was going to be it, obviously. So
Yeah.
the only one that got it was the one that was guaranteed to give us one. So apparently the league has very good parity so far.
Yep.
Because really, Jordan should be 1-1.
Yes.
But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Let's look at the waiver action.
Let us look at the waiver action.
Let's talk about it. So I was sitting here this time knowing that I was fourth in line. So I'm like, okay, I got Jordan and Todd and Josh all ahead of me. And I know that they're going to be, I'm like, I know Jordan and Todd for sure need people. They're going to be going after things. Yeah. And yet Todd didn't really do anything. The only waiver that didn't go through was me trying to get Derek Carr.
Yep.
Which went to Todd. He went for Todd. And I was like, so here's my thought. The Blue Golds are in need all across the board. They're doing poorly. They lost Pacheco and Cup, and yet the only player they attempted to waiver was Derek Carr when they have Mahomes. Like, yeah, Carr's doing really well, but like, there's so many other players he needed.
I think you definitely underestimate my dad's ability to, like, he's not got his he definitely doesn't have his hand on the pulse of the team, of the different teams.
I want him on. Like, I just want to ask him, like, clearly he sat down at least on Monday night, or Tuesday night, and was like, okay, I need to improve something. And he picked just Derek Carr.
Well, I mean, he obviously...
Even if he just chased points, it would have been something.
He obviously paid attention. He picked up Kareem Hunt.
He came back later and did pick up Hunt.
Even though he picked... Although, so at 7 a.m., he picks up Pat Fryermuth and drops Tucker Kraft. And then he proceeds to drop Pat Fryermuth for Kareem Hunt.
Yes.
So
he did move around a bit today.
It's possible he's just going for the mover.
And again, and your dad is just always, in my opinion, kind of floating to his own tune. Because last year, I know I was harsh on him about his quarterback thing, and he stood firm, and then I was proven wrong. And maybe he'll do this time too. But I'm like, okay, there's two other running backs on the Chiefs that are probably in line first to get more carries. And yet he goes and picks up the guy that's just going to be put on the practice squad for this week and may get to play and probably won't be the number one this week.
Talking about Kareem Hunt?
Yeah. Like, he could have taken Steele. He could have taken, what was it, Sam G? Because I don't think either of those were rostered. Because I put in for Steele, but I wouldn't have gotten him if Todd would have wanted him.
So the thing is, though, if you look at the non-fantasy stuff, it's looking to be that, like, possibly they're going to put Kareem Hunt as the number one. At least that's what's coming out of Kansas City right now. But because I think they don't think really Carson Steele is like that number. Like, he's not that, like, going to be that workhorse.
Well, the thing is they already kind of have a split until Edward St. Hilaire gets back, right?
Yeah.
He could be that. But right now they basically have, was it Perrine? I can't remember his name. He's basically the catching back. Yeah. And then the thought is that Steele would be the running kind of guy.
Yes.
And Hunt would also be that. So this might be more of a week where they're like figuring out which one is better.
Pirine.
Pirine?
That's actually what it is. It's Pirine.
Pirine. That's up there with Achan.
and Pirine.
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 So I think the problem is that, and I picked up Steele kind of just trying to look at him. It's going to be hard to tell. I don't think anyone will really know going into this week, and I don't know that anyone will know the following week.
I mean, if you look at Carson Steele's numbers, I just don't see any situation in which he goes from 0.3 points and negative 0.1 points to anything like
But I mean, look at his attempts.
14 points.
He has 2 and 7 attempts.
Yeah.
One coming after injury. He hasn't really been out there. They've basically been like, Pacheco's our guy. Oh crap, he's hurt.
Yes.
And so it's not like they've been doing any sort of committee thing. They aren't even doing any sort of like put this guy in on the goal line or it's third down, put this guy in. Like it's all Pacheco.
Yep.
So it's just hard to tell what they're gonna do.
What else? I did like your Rashid Shaheed pickup, even though that is think the definition of point chasing.
That is not the definition of point chasing because he has 2 weeks in a row.
That is true, yeah.
That's why he's not getting a lot of love though when I look around online for things as being a consistent guy, but he seems to have pretty clearly emerged as Carr's kind of number one receiver right now instead of Olave.
He's still sub 10 in the projections.
Yeah, he is. He's basically doubled his projections each week. So it's hard to tell. He's a little bit touchdown dependent, but he's still getting pretty good yardage.
I will say the Jackson Smith-Njigba is straight up point chasing.
Yeah, that's Josh for you, He went from 2 to 17. He must be
yeah, he must be elite.
Must be elite. He just wasn't that first week because he played Denver.
Yeah. Well, they don't give up any points to.
No, they don't. They don't give any of the wide receivers. I don't mind Josh picking up Buffalo to go against.
Yeah, that's probably better than.
I was a little surprised that Buffalo was available.
Yeah, I mean, I had Buffalo's defense last year, and I kind of ended up.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying keep them, but as a streaming option against Jacksonville seems like a pretty nice. I dropped Christian Kirk. I was just done with him.
I see that finally.
Somebody wants him. I didn't play him last week, but it's like he's done. 1
catch for negative yards.
Yeah, he's on a bad team apparently. I picked up Cleveland this time. Yeah, we got all the running around there with your dad, and then it somehow turned out that I had an open spot, so I just picked up Quentin Johnston. Now that is point chasing, but I don't plan on starting him this week. I have no obligation to knowing their names.
Okay, first of all, I straight up heard them call him P. Ryan.
Is he saying that?
I don't know. You can say okay, guys. Like maybe we don't know, and we are gonna consistently say a chain or a chan or a chain.
Yeah,
because that's just
what we do.
If you want us to say your name right, have a better last name. That's just classic what it is.
We just need the NFL
as a person who has been misnamed multiple times,
oh yeah, people are always saying my last name wrong.
Yeah, you gotta, everybody's saying my name last wrong. You just you build up a thick skin.
It's unfortunate that Tua got hurt because I just learned how to say his last name.
Isn't it Jackson Smith-Njigba? That's what everybody calls him. Oh, Njigba?
I think
Njigba?
It's hard to know on a lot of these names. We need to get
how do we say that name, Jordan? Put it out in phonetics, please.
He's expecting us to know like 200 different guys' last names.
Jackson Smith-Njigba? That sounds wrong. That sounds like I'm going to get canceled if I say it too many times.
We would appreciate if Jordan would send us a video of him pronouncing every player's name, and then we could use that as a guide in the future.
That's exactly what he should do.
There's always persons like people put on YouTube videos of historical people, and they say something's wrong, and then people in the comments are all over them. It happens. It's okay. We're gonna be
Njigba?
Njigba. You don't say N, you go in. You say the sound of it. Njigba.
Njigba? How do you know? Do you know him?
They've chilled.
Did he go to EKU?
So here's some other thoughts I had on the waiver wire. Another week, and this shocks me, without Alex putting in anybody on the waiver. Now, he did make a move later, but the fact that now 2 weeks in a row he hasn't put in for anybody at the deadline just shocks me.
He's confident in his team, I guess.
He's just confident that someone's going to be, that whoever he wants is going to be there, I guess. I don't know. It just shocks me because last year he was just pretty big on it. I do know how to pronounce Ohio State.
Ohio State.
And then the other point I had on the waivers
State
is that the Appalachian White Lotnans, and their owner is here right now, so perhaps he could take a break from judging our name abilities and comment on this. He was in a rough spot and trying to trade with anybody who would listen, but didn't attempt to waiver anybody, even though he was guaranteed any player he wanted. What's the thought process behind that?
I don't know. Chime in, Jordo.
Clearly, he's not happy with his team, or he just loves trades so much, but does like his team. One of those two. He's probably nose deep in the player's dictionary right now, looking at how to pronounce those things. But those were kind of my thoughts on the waiver wire. I've just been it's been a lot of action going on with it each time, which is fun to see kind of a flurry of stuff going on there. But it's just some of the stuff is just head scratching. Obviously, Sam and Kara have done nothing on the waivers that they don't necessarily need to right now. You've done very little, but there's really not a big need for you to do
poor
anything.
judgment.
Poor judgment. All right. We'll cut you some slack. There's still players out there. Go get them. Find the handcuffs.
Gotta find the handcuffs. I found my handcuff in Jordan Mason.
You were just lucky that it
oh my gosh,
like that.
He's trying to rip people off. I mean, I think he's not trying to rip anybody off. He's just trying to see if something sticks.
I mean
technically in most trades isn't everybody in every trade trying to rip the other person off in the fact that they're trying to get the better deal. You want to feel like in any trade situation, you want to feel like you got the better end of the deal.
I'll tell you, when I think about
I never go into a trade and be like, I'm going to give you somebody better than I'm receiving. It's like, no, I want to get somebody better than I'm giving away.
When I go into trades and I think about trades, because I do ponder them, I do look at other people's rosters and try to think about who I could trade. I only ever really try to think, who do I have that they could want? And then there's somebody that they have excess that I want. And I really won't even propose a trade unless I think that those two parts match up. But there's nothing really wrong with just throwing stuff out there. I'm sure in the NFL, people have general managers reaching out with junky trades all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. You never know until you ask.
I mean, look, somehow the Carolina Panthers made some really bad trades.
They didn't need McCaffrey, did they?
They didn't need McCaffrey or DJ Moore or a couple of first-round picks.
They just needed Bryce Young.
They just needed Bryce Young.
Oh, well, let's take a look at next week.
Yeah, let's do that.
Week 3. This is when no more 1-and-1s. We're starting to form our identities here.
Yep.
Where do you want to start?
Let's start with Alex and Sam. Let's start the Lamb of God versus the Ninnies.
All right. Just a little bit here. Last year, this is an interesting thing. 3 of the 4 matchups this week, one of the 2 players swept the other one last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So a little revenge game.
It's got some grudges going on here. Alex swept the Ninnies last year. They're both 1-and-1 right now, as most of the league is. The Ninnies have been very consistent so far, but that Samuel injury is going to affect it.
Yep.
He swapped in Ridley, which is probably the best option he had.
Yep.
On there. Obviously he's got to ride with Allen. I don't know how long he sits with Olave. Maybe this week.
So he's going to be out. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be out Debo and McCaffrey. Man, they're going to lose
Something going on over there in that area because the Rams are dealing with it too.
Yeah.
But he's still got Gibbs and Hall and Cook, and he's got a very good, consistent kicker.
Yep.
I'm hoping Ridley doesn't do well.
Why?
Meanwhile, because he's playing the Packers.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alex has a team of wild cards, I feel like. Like, which Richardson are we going to get? Against Chicago? I don't know. I feel like the Chicago defense isn't going to get him back to 30 points.
No.
Evans has been kind of hit and miss, and he's going against Denver, who we know is notoriously a wall against wide receivers.
I mean, man, look at that
matchups.
Alex, seriously, have you looked at any of the matchups? Because I mean, like, you should probably just drop Mike Evans. Like,
I think you should dump your whole team.
I think you should dump him. Although Derrick Henry's number is first, he's going against Dallas, which is giving up the most.
And Pollard against Green Bay is probably not a terrible idea.
No, that's probably all right.
Kittle did very well last week. The Rams are really hurting, so I think he. And
I actually do think. I think Kittle will do well just simply because.
Well, no McCaffrey, no Debo. He just becomes one of the few people.
Think you should put in Baker? I think you should get rid of Nico Collins. I mean, he's not in a green matchup. Chris Boswell, dude, get rid of Chris Boswell. He's on the 32nd. The Chargers give up the least amount to kickers.
They're the best kick blocking team there is.
They just give up touchdowns. They don't give up field goals. If it's third and anything in the red zone, they're just drop it. They're just gonna lay down.
Like, we'd rather give up the touchdown than a field goal.
Yeah, we really want to keep this.
Yeah, I don't know. Mayfield against. It's tough because if you bench Richardson, he's going to go off and he's going to get you a 30. And so it's just tough to know what to do there. I don't feel like Chicago's going to be his bounce game for that. But just he's wild.
Why are you hanging on to Justin Fields, Alex?
Just probably for nostalgia.
I don't know why he's telling us to shut up.
I think because he's delayed. He's referring to us talking about the matchups.
Oh yeah. I don't know why you have Justin Fields. I know you liked him as a Bear, but I think that needs to be go. There's much better.
He's not been great, but
wasn't it last year that Alex had 3 quarterbacks?
He doesn't mind doing that.
Baker's on fire. Yeah.
So I look at these. Baker's been doing well. I agree. He's got a pretty low projection, which doesn't mean you shouldn't. I mean, he's been kind of low the last 2 as well. But I mean, it does bear looking at the matchups. Detroit, for some reason, is giving up the 10th most to quarterbacks, probably just because it is a small sample size. But he's done very well. But I mean, I feel like his mid ceiling might kind of be Richardson's kind of middle as well. So I don't know. I feel like Baker's ceiling is Richardson's middle. So it's just tough because I think Richardson has a lower floor though. So that's a tough one. You're going to have to do some soul searching. So when I look at these two teams, I said even with the Samuel imagery, he doesn't have a ton of great options, but I'm going to pick the Ninnies.
I agree. I'm also going to pick the Ninnies.
How did we do last week?
Oh yeah, sorry. Matchups. So, Chuck, you didn't hit another 3-1. I hit another 2-2. Jordan got 2-2 as well. My dad did not make a pick, so he got 0-0. Alex got 2-2, and Josh actually got a 1 and a 3. So he only picked himself. And that was the only thing he picked himself. So right now the standings are in first place, Chuck with 6-2, Alex is with 5-3, and then there's a bunch of us at 4-4.
Tight.
So it's pretty tight so far.
Pretty tight. Make your picks.
Please make picks. It's fun when more people do this.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna pick. I think I gotta go with Sam. I think his team. I trust his team more than Alex's team.
Yeah, and Samuel has not been the main reason that he's gotten the 130s.
No, it has not. And in fact, I think
Ridley did pretty well last week, if I remember correctly.
yes. Well, again, I hope he doesn't do as well this week. It's
Of course.
Definitely be okay with him
Getting a 0.
necessarily getting a 0, but
Get a 5, get a 6.
Yeah.
A couple catches.
Yeah, just
So sorry, Alex. I don't know. Your team may put up another 130 or something and take him out, but I don't know that I could trust it as much as I trust Sam's. I think that it's going to be Sam by a decent margin. And this is unlikely. Now, we've only had Alex for 2 years, but seeing him get a projection of 105 is odd.
Yeah, that is true.
Last year, his projections were like 120, I feel like.
Yeah, it was definitely. I feel like projections in general have been down.
I think last year we discovered that it just seemed like Yahoo tends to undersell. They risk being too low, I feel like, in general. It's not too often I look at someone and I'm like, wow, that's way higher than I think they're going to get.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is probably safe. All right, who's next?
Let's do Kara and Todd. So the Fergles versus the
2-1-1 teams again, but they sure don't feel that close. I'll tell you that. Last year, the Blue Golds swept the Fergles. In fact, the Fergles have not beat the Blue Golds since week 9 of 2021.
Fergles have not beaten the Blue Golds since 2021?
Yep. It has been. That was the second time they played each other in 2021. So the last 2 years completely, the Fergles have not beaten the Blue Golds.
Wow.
So, but this feels like it could be.
This could definitely be. If there's a time to
right now, he is down. He's barely able to break 100 with his projection. You know what that feels like.
All too
so
well.
What's he done with his team? What's he done? He's got. Let's ask before we talk about it. What is CHARBONNET pronounced as?
Yeah, Jordan, come on. How do you pronounce carbonara?
Is it Carbonet? Is it Charbonnet? Is it Charmander? Tell us. He's got Godwin in, but again, he's going against the steel curtain that is Denver.
That is true. Steel curtain.
Mahomes, I don't know. Apparently they've upped his projection a little bit here against Atlanta. Wilson, I think the problem with Wilson, unfortunately, is that Rodgers is just not as good.
Mm-hmm.
He's not bad, but he's not Rodgers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he'll become that. I don't know. But so far he's not. And he's on a Thursday night. Jets, New England. He's still rocking Harris, of course. Kincaid is going to be Kincaid. Maybe Chase does something. He's got the New York defense.
Yeah, I was talking to him about maybe swapping out Green Bay's defense, especially against Will Levis. We might get a pick or a touchdown or something.
New England's been surprisingly spunky this year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That could be a little... Maybe. I guess Tennessee gives up the most fantasy points right now to defenses. Interesting. He did pick up Carr, but didn't put him in. I guess he doesn't trust him against Philly, or maybe he's just mulling it over still. It looks like Carr's been doing very well. He's been isn't he? He's like QB1 or QB2, I think, now. It will be interesting if he decides to put in Hunt. I'm sure he's kind of waiting to see the development there on things. I assume he would swap out. Has Jordan responded yet? No, he has not. That C player from Seattle with that one. Now, the good thing about him is that it's possible that Miami gets behind early and Seattle is running to kind of chew clock.
Yeah.
So he could get a benefit there. But overall, his team is a hodgepodge of putting things together, whereas the Fighting Fergals look pretty good overall. Tucker is not Tucker this year, that's for sure. He got 16 last week, but he's been missing some big field goals.
Yeah.
I think the San Francisco defense against the Rams looks good.
Yeah.
Achane and Hill, I question how that'll end up happening. She put Adams back in.
I think Achane is pretty solid because he's gotten nearly 20 points every week.
Especially with Mostert still out.
Yes. I think really, honestly, that's almost like you have to put it
Oh,
in
no,
there.
I wouldn't bench him. And I wouldn't bench Hill either. You can't. But
yeah.
It. But yeah, so I look at these two, and I don't think there's a doubt. You got to pick the Fergals.
Yep. Me too. No question about that.
I guess Jordan left. He couldn't handle the roasting that we were doing.
He was, I mean, I'm still getting 3 people watching, which usually means that it's him and Alex, but he could be asleep or being doing some stuff. All right, let's go to
the matchup of the week.
Well, no, we'll save the matchup of the week. I don't know. What is the matchup of the week?
You and Jordan,
looking at him. I don't think that's the matchup of the week. But we'll do that. We'll do that one.
2-0 versus 0-2. I love it.
Hopefully 3-0 to 0-3.
It makes me want to go back and look at all the times a 2-0 player has played an 0-2 team, but that would take a lot of research.
Yeah.
So last year, Jordan swept you.
That's crazy. Wow, that actually isn't crazy. My team stunk.
So far, I've picked against both the teams that got swept last year, and I think I'm going to do that again on this one. Dave, you take the edge in several categories here. I think quarterback, he probably has you. I think London and Ayuk is probably even, but you've got Jefferson. I'd take that over Diggs. I take Barkley over White. I take Mason over Stevenson. I take Kamara over Reed. And not by small amounts. Like the ones that he has over you, like probably Pitts over Kelsey, Moody over Sanders, maybe like are small ones, but the ones that you have are big ones, I think. Like your running backs are better than his running backs.
Yeah.
It's just going to be hard. I don't know. His projection didn't even hit 100, which isn't everything. I know he's still got Montgomery on the bench.
Yeah.
Which maybe he should do. I don't know. I don't know if Reed should stay in with Willis as quarterback. That obviously affected him last week.
Yeah, it depends on who starts. And again, I might start Love if Love starts. I want to use ETN so badly, but there's just no reason for me to do that.
No. I mean, he got some points last week, but
Jordan Mason is still going to be a big part of that offense just because
for sure.
Especially with Debo out and McCaffrey. I just like
he's not McCaffrey, but he does.
I'd love to put in James Conner would be a good one to put in too. It's just like, I mean, it's just
you got too
although
many.
He's going against Detroit and it's bad matchups, so you never know.
You got too many. I don't know that I love Houston against Minnesota either. They've been doing pretty well this year.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas versus Baltimore is a bit bold.
I don't have another one, and I'd have to drop. I guess I could drop Tank Dell. Tank Dell's been pretty meh this year.
Yes, he certainly has been. I loved him last year, but he's got too many people in his room this year.
That is true. That's exactly what's going on.
So yeah, I definitely am picking the quarter pounders with cheese.
You know what? I'm gonna have to pick myself as well.
To hit 3-0 for the first time ever in the Yahoo era.
That, I'm gonna be happy if that happens, man. That just feels good about it.
Well, I mean, the last 3 years you've been setting all sort of personal records on the wrong side.
What was my? Do you remember what my my record was last year?
Your record?
Yeah, did I hit 3 wins last year?
You went 3-11 in the regular season and then finished 4-11 total.
Okay, so I can tie with a win this
With
week.
the win, you will tie last year's win total.
Trade. Okay, so we got a rando in
Well, don't be
chat.
rude. We got Bronson.
Bronson Howe. Trade Mahomes, Jacobs, and Debo for JJ. What?
Who's JJ?
I'm assuming JJ McCarthy, the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. That's on IR. No, Justin Jefferson.
Oh yeah. Mahomes,
I don't think
Jacobs, and Debo.
No.
You're losing way more points every week than you're getting.
I mean, it depends. I'm assuming the person who gets JJ has to drop a bunch of players, or the player who gets all those has to drop a bunch of players. So, I mean, unless that team is completely devoid of talent, I mean, it's possible if JJ's your only good guy and you're getting.
I mean, Mahomes and Jacobs aren't amazing, and Debo is injured, but that's a lot of points you're giving up for one guy.
Yeah,
the other one there where it's Mahomes, Jacobs, Kelsey, and Waddle. I mean, Kelsey's not doing great, although I wouldn't be writing him off yet. And it's not like Jefferson's putting up 25 points a week.
Unless you're stacked.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that.
If you have so many guys, these guys are expendable.
Or Mahomes, Jacobs, Kelsey, Waddle for JJ. That's a lot of people for one guy. And honestly, if you're talking about Justin Jefferson, he's really not like playing like just like out. I mean, he's playing well. I have him on my team. But
here's what we do here at Make Fantasy Football Great Again. Fantasy League. With Justin Jefferson, we wait for the owner to drop him, and then we pick him up off waivers.
Yeah, because it's a keeper league. So, Bronson, if you didn't know, in our league last year, there was a big controversy because we have a guy who isn't very
savvy,
up to date, or savvy on all of his fantasy football dealings, and he dropped JJ at the very end of the season. And because it's a keeper league, and if you pick somebody up off of free agency and keep them, you only have to give a 13th round draft pick the next year. I got him. And it was fun.
Just use the roto trade.
I don't know what that means.
It must be an ESPN thing.
Must be an ESPN thing. I don't know.
All right, so we got one game left. So far, we're agreeing on everything.
Yeah, so far, we are. This is. I would call this the game of the week.
Probably the tightest game of the week, I think. And this is the only one where we didn't sweep each other last year. We went 1-1.
It really is a toss-up.
We went 1-1. The projections are close. I forgot to say this stat about the Bezoik Phlemoids when we were doing the breakdown. Josh, and I wish he was here to get this. Congratulations. He broke a record on the All Yahoo list. And that record has been held since 2021. Let me find it here. He set the record for the most rushing yards in a game in a week. Total.
Oh, yeah. I heard about this.
Previously, you knew about this?
Yes.
Did he tell you?
No.
Oh, is he not aware?
I think
previously Jordan set this record in championship week 17 of 2021 with 429 yards, and Josh got 452 total rushing yards this last week.
Wow.
To break the record. So that's pretty high. And I've looked back, and most of the years, some of the years nobody even gets into the 400s ever. So that's a pretty solid record to be having there, Josh. If anybody's wondering who the least amount of rushing yards in a week is, that is Todd from week 14 of 2018. Take a guess, Dave. How many rushing yards total did Todd's team?
For the lowest?
For the least rushing yards in a week ever.
Oh, this was from 2018, 2019?
2018, vintage Todd.
Okay. Man, I thought we hit this. I thought we broke some crazy record last year about this too, but maybe that was receiving yards. I think there was a receiving yards one that was extremely low.
Maybe.
It's on one of the old podcasts. I'm assuming We're gonna do 12 yards.
You're darn close. 7.
7 yards. How is that possible?
This whole team together got 7 rushing yards.
How is that even with that? And is that with like?
Well, let's take a look.
players and stuff like that?
2018 week 4. All right, let's take a look.
There's had to be injuries.
But I mean, he always had his team stocked, I thought, like staffed, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
He just
My only thought is they got injured mid-game or something like
Yeah.
that. He just had horrible luck.
what week did I say it was? Week 14.
That was week 4, but
Looks like week 14, 16, 15, 14. He still scored 93 points that week. Let's see. I don't have the stats of the players anymore from that far back, but he had Carson Wentz as his quarterback, and in running backs were D. Lewis, and I think it was it Carlos Hyde?
No, that's
C. Hyde?
Yeah, maybe it was Carlos Hyde. No.
But his running backs got him 1 and 7 points, which must have been on receptions in order to do that. His defense got him 25 points, though, and that's what that was against you that week. You beat him 193. This is all good things for Dave. Even other people's bad things are your good things now. It's a new world.
It's a bizarro world.
Bizarro world. Well, you're a champion. You're a multiple-time champion of the league. We shouldn't be too shabby there. All right, so let's break down this game here. It's very close. I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I go through people. I go through the 2 matchups. I'm looking at them. It's like, honestly, quarterbacks I think are kind of even. I think the top wide receiver is even. Probably Taylor over Robinson. Probably Dobbins over Williams, but I don't know. I don't know what to say about tight ends. It's just everything's so tight. It's hard to project, and so I'm going to pick myself.
You're gonna pick yourself, huh?
I mean, I am technically the favored.
You are favored.
The projected winner, but it's going to be close. Josh, what are you going to get with Josh? His 2 scores are 85 points apart. I don't know. You don't know what you're going to get. So
I'm surprised he took out Neighbors. I'm surprised he doesn't have Metcalf in, although Metcalf is questionable. And I'm like,
he picked up Njigba, and he doesn't have that in right now.
Njigba. Well, he put Marvin Harrison Jr. in there,
which he probably needed to do.
Do I break the streak?
I'll let you think for a second. I need to find another running back. I have Robinson and I have Williams, and then I'll
trade.
I have Swift. We're going to see if Steele turns into something, but like I need another running back at some point. And that's the one. That's who I've been trying to look at what I would trade for.
You could give me some. You want some ETN?
Yes, that's the one I was going to target actually on your team. I've secretly been waiting for you to just drop him so I could get him cheaper.
James Conner, man, Conner.
I would propose a trade for Conner, but I don't know who you would want on my team. You're pretty stacked.
I know, it's
like you have no needs.
I don't have any needs.
If Laporta were to suddenly become amazing, you could be looking for a tight end, but then why would I want to give him up, So,
yeah.
Maybe I'll float you a trade at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe I'll float you one every week. Can I float like 5 different trades to you where I'm asking for the same player but giving you different options? Or once you have proposed a trade for a player?
No, I think you're still that's available.
All right, maybe I'll just like give you 13 trade options.
Just every single player.
Every single one of my players in turn.
For James Conner.
Here you go. I'll give you.
I will say.
I'll give you more in a 12th round pick.
I will say, wide receivers somewhat weak on my team.
Yeah, I got a lot of receivers. You want Johnston?
No,
He's gonna be a star.
Get
him now while his stock is low.
I was thinking about Rashid Rice, but I don't think
I would not trade him. I'll wait until he gets suspended, then I'll trade him to you.
Okay.
Anyway, I stalled you a little bit. Who you picking?
I'm gonna pick Josh.
Oh, he's not even here to hear it.
I know. Wow, that's the point.
Wow, he actually picked Josh.
I picked it. I broke the streak
for the first time in like 2 years.
Mainly because I need to be a little wild card from you so that I gotta catch up.
I wouldn't call picking either one on this game a wild card. They're pretty even.
So either I fall farther down or I get higher up.
Get higher up.
The problem is the other 3 games are pretty much like
they seem to be one-sided.
They seem a little bit more one-sided, and then this one is the closest, so I can kind of get away with like swapping.
Yeah. If you look at our teams too, like we're only separated by 3 total points scored.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very even. Now, again, it's just crazy because his team is like 2 different teams. So
apparently, Jordan just sent you a trade.
Is he telling you that Chuck sent you an offer, or is he saying, Chuck, I just sent you an offer?
I think that's what he means.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I look forward to seeing it. Speaking of looking at things, the Pro Pick'em is looking pretty good.
Not for me.
Let's take a look at where everybody's standing here. We got the Puffins, 21-11, alone in the lead. Then we got the Blue Golds, 19-13, AWOL, 17-15, the QPCs, even, perfect 50%. That's what that's what you expect, right? 50-50. Mm-hmm. And then the Flemoids had a really bad week this week, I think, and dropped to 15-17.
Yeah, they had a real bad week.
I think you only got like 7 right or something.
Yep.
So put your picks in on the Pick'em. Put your picks in on the League Pick'em.
Yep.
Get yourself doing stuff there. Let me just see what this trade is here. Oh,
Oh.
We got Kyle Pitts and Montgomery for Likely and Shaheed.
Pitts and Montgomery for Likely and Shaheed.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 guys on your bench.
Well, I have Shaheed in right now, I think, don't I?
Yeah, you did just put him in. Interesting choice. That's
definitely one I'll have to mull over because I kind of am currently in love with Shaheed. But apparently Yahoo is not.
Yeah. And
I don't really need
you do get Montgomery though.
I would get Montgomery.
And that's an interesting. It's a little bit of a. It's a little tick that's tickling your.
That's tickling my trade hardened heart. A little bit. I'm gonna have to.
We're gonna get Chuck in a multi-person. Jordan, throw in a draft pick. Just kidding.
No, then I would have to deny it for sure.
Then he denies it.
He's like, no, take my first round pick. No, I can't do it.
I can't do it. I won't. I'm against it. It's against my.
I'm a man of principles and scruples. I will ponder that. I'm gonna have to do some dig dive into some research.
Honestly, that's it helps you, and it I think helps him because it gives him a wide receiver.
He'd be hoping
Jeez.
unlikely, and he'd be getting Shaheed there. So that'd be the thing, though. I'm not 100% certain I want to get rid of Shaheed because I feel like I'm excited about him. So that'd be. I'll think.
And do you have a guy to replace him? Well, I mean, you could just put Montgomery in his flex spot, I guess.
For me, yeah, I could put Montgomery in right away, but
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about Montgomery still too, just because if he doesn't score a touchdown, I don't know what his point total is looking like.
Yeah.
But I do need a running back, so
Yeah.
all right, I'll get back to you. My people will talk to your people.
Interesting. Well, I'll just let Ian Rappaport know so he can break the news.
It's not Ian Rappaport, is it? I thought it was his.
Oh yeah, it's Trevor Rappaport.
Trevor
Just
Rappaport.
let Trevor Rappaport know. So he can break the
Obviously,
news.
he hasn't been on the forefront. He wasn't on the forefront of that other trade that caught us off
I
guard.
know
right?
he was sleeping.
He wasn't in the in season. Yeah, well, I mean, it was before the first week, so it's like.
Yeah, he's got to get his sources back, and
it's about networking.
It's about good. No, yeah, he burned some bridges.
Definitely. Well, it looks like we've got an exciting week ahead. Certainly, injuries are going to play a role in how this week shapes out. We're looking at potentially 3 games that we think are kind of slam dunk calls, but that's not always how it goes. So we will see how things come together. Certainly, good luck to everybody. Hopefully, we have less injuries this week. Not good luck to Josh, though.
And not good luck to Jordan.
Nope. Bad luck to them. But Todd and Kara and Sam, you guys can have some good luck.
Yes. All right.
Have a great week.
Yeah. Later.